Guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how to fix IPTV buffering issues. You got to make sure that you're doing a few of these things, guys, very often. Make sure you have the right equipment, make sure you have the right Wi-Fi, right devices. This is absolutely critical for you guys to avoid IPTV buffering. Let's jump into this, take a look. Guys, make sure you do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, help me grow this channel out. I'll keep putting videos like this out, IPTV reviews, helpful tips. Just want you to subscribe and make sure you got the notification bell on to help me out. All right, let's do this. So how do we avoid IPTV buffering? So I've got another video out there that I've done. It's very similar to this. It's been a while. I wanted to recap and kind of add some new things to it. So I thought I'd bring this to you guys. And please leave some comments here of what you're doing to have yourself avoid that IPTV buffering and help other people out. So let's jump into this. I got a few topics we'll talk about for it. So spend a few minutes with me, you guys. I'm show you some good ways to fix your buffering. All right, so the first thing is the definition of buffering. Preloaded or preloading data into a reserved area of memory, the buffer, in streaming audio or video from the internet. Buffering refers to downloading a certain amount of data before starting to play the music or video. So we know that. I mean, if you've been in the digital world for a while, you understand everything takes time to load. Depending on the speeds and the devices you have, will mean the faster you'll be able to watch that video or hear that music or finish that download, whatever you're doing with it. So now the question is, why does some services buffer, or why does some devices or channels buffer more than others? And a lot of that comes down to, is it the source where it's coming from? Is it your device not having strong enough internals to pull that information in? Is it your Wi-Fi? Is it your router? Is it your a lot of different areas? So now that we kind of know what buffering is, we know it takes some time to build up enough data to push out for us to watch that. Let's talk about how we make sure we got the least amount of resistance when it comes to buffering. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about, probably the main issue or fix for this, is going to be your Wi-Fi versus your Ethernet, guys. So if you're not connected, hardwired into the wall, in your Ethernet or into your router, your chances of getting near perfect TV, near perfect streaming is going to be very hard for you. If you have a chance, if you can, get connected to your router, get connected to your hardwire into your Ethernet. So that's definitely the most important part. You can run off Wi-Fi, and I actually do. I have a couple devices. I'll talk about those in just a minute here. That I can run off my Wi-Fi, I have good internet speed, so I don't have any problems there. But once in a while, I might have a little hiccup here or there, which is expected on Wi-Fi. But if I'm connected to my hardwire, no issues there. So make sure you can get the very best internet you can. You're paying for it, so if you can hardwire it, get it. And I'll talk about some devices here that will help you get that. So first, let's talk Wi-Fi speed. So it's not just, oh, I'm on Wi-Fi, I can't have IPTV. No, you can, and it just depends on what speed you get. Now, I used to have 60 megs. I actually have 100 megs now. My internet provider they went with their standard 100 meg for everybody, so I got that. And I have no problems with Wi-Fi. I'm running a couple devices. I'm running a Fire Stick, and I'm running a Mi Box. And both those have 5 gigahertz connections into my router. And I have my router set up, but I can't even remember the name of my router. I'll have to find it, maybe link it here. But no problems there. It wasn't an expensive one, but it was a China knockoff of something. So I bought off Amazon, but it's been good. No problems there. But I'm getting 100 megs of speed. If I ever see buffering and like more than one or two spins happening once in a while, obviously there's going to be a hiccup or two in your internet. But if it's ever doing more, first thing I ever do is do a speed test. That will always tell me what's going on. If I'll do a speed test and say, wow, I'm getting 20 meg, where's my other 80 available? I'll go reset my router. I'll go check it out. And that's usually the first problem there, is that there's some major problems with my Wi-Fi. But you need to have Wi-Fi that can run fast internet. If you have 15 or 20, you can still watch IPTV, but to have it be on Wi-Fi is going to be very difficult to avoid that buffering. So make sure you have the fastest internet possible to avoid that buffering. All right, so here are 3 things that you're going to want to have when you're looking at hardwiring in your device. Well, I'll make it 4. Let me just pull this one in here for a second. This is a router. This is not the router I'm currently using. This is just a cheap one that I had. Nothing fancy. It's an old Belkin. So if you have this router, just use it as a paperweight. It's junk. I'll tell you why here in a minute. And the other things I've got here, this is a Ethernet adapter that actually goes into a USB port. Okay, so we'll explain that in a minute, why we need that. And then obviously we know what this is, right? Ethernet cord. And this is a extender, which if you don't have access to an Ethernet or Cat5 or Cat6, whatever it is at now, if you don't have one of these next to your TV, you're going to want this, because that is going to be able to act. Plug that in right there. And that's actually going to trick your device, whatever device you're using, into thinking it's hardwired into your box. So if you're using a Mi box or an Android box, it'll work fine. That has a USB. Now, like a Fire Stick doesn't have a USB or a Ethernet cord, so you're just gonna have to run that off Wi-Fi. But if you have a device that has a USB or has one of these devices, you'll want either one of these. This will plug into a USB device, and then you can plug this into here, assuming that was in the wall, that into your box, and that going into the USB cord will actually run through Ethernet into your box. So pretty neat little feature. But this can work as an extender, which will take your Wi-Fi from, say, if you're getting 50, you should probably get about 40 to 30, somewhere in that area. It does lose a little bit of it when you're in that. But this actually does a really good job of keeping everything together and not losing a lot of that data. So if you can hardwire it, guys. If you cannot, get an extender. Now, when you're getting your extender, make sure you're getting one that has a 2.4 and a 5 gigahertz connection. If you just get one with 2.4 and you try to run some extended Wi-Fi, it's going to be slow. You want to get 5. That's probably the biggest thing, as I mentioned here a couple of times. Make sure your router has a 5 gigahertz. Make sure, like this one I was showing here, this one's only 2.4, so it's a paperweight right now. I can't stream anything on that. It's too slow. That's how when I first learned I had to get a new router. I had to go out and spend $100 for a router for that. So, but make sure your device has that 5G. Make sure your extender here does, and make sure your router does. So I think you'll be good there. So these are your friends, guys. Make sure you have these things here. This will help you be able to get better streams for that. So keep in mind, guys, these are your accessories you're going to need when you're looking for avoiding that IPTV buffering. All right, so as we've talked about our Wi-Fi versus Ethernet versus Wi-Fi speeds and what works and what doesn't work and what accessory I need, the main thing is, guys, if you've got slow internet, you know what the results are going to be before you even start, right? Make sure you get the best internet possible that you can. Obviously, you're cutting the cord, you're saving some money, so take that money, spend a little more on internet, spend a little more on devices, and you'll have the best results there. As you've seen from what I've showed you here on the accessories that you can have, the extenders, the cords, the USB, I don't even know what it's called, what's a USB Ethernet adapter. So, but those things will help you get the best results possible when you're trying to avoid that buffering. All right, let's talk devices. Now, this is really important, guys, because you just don't want to go to Amazon and buy the very cheapest, $30 Android box that's out there because you've heard about somebody else that cut the cord and they bought an Amazon box and they're loving it. You've got to make sure you're buying the best. I don't know if the best is the right word, but a quality box or device, depending on what you go with, that will actually support what is needed. So make sure the device has that 5 gigahertz internet. Make sure it has, if possible, an Ethernet port on the back. If not, at least a USB port. And you can run this off of a Fire Stick. I run mine off of a Fire Stick, no problem there. But again, I have to have good internet. I have to make sure that, I have a good router. All that stuff's there. But when you're spending time on it, this is your full-time entertainment, think about it, guys. You want to spend a little bit of extra money to have the best experience there. So let's go and talk which devices are going to be the best for you, at least what I found for me. And again, there are a ton of more out there, but these are the ones that I'm using. All right, let's talk some devices. You can see I've got a different array here. I've got over here on my left, I've got the Mi Box, which is an awesome device. It does have that 5 gigahertz connection you want for Wi-Fi, if you're running off Wi-Fi. It also has the USB. Now, this one does not have an Ethernet cord, so I have to use that little device I was showing you to plug into that, and then that works good. But it's a good box here. It actually really does really well. It's got Android TV software, so it's not just your basic Android software, but it's an Android TV, which is much better. This T95D, not trying to knock it, but it doesn't hold up. I mean, speeds don't work as well. It lags like crazy. Same with this X96. They're just cheap boxes I bought off Amazon, when I was first getting into IPTV, basically they're paperweights right now. They do have the Ethernet cord on the back, but again, they're just not strong devices. The Wi-Fi only have 2.4 gigahertz, so you really can't watch IPTV off of those. They're just too slow and they buffer all day long. So, and then I have a Fire Stick down here, right there with the remote there. So my main devices I use is the Mi Box and the Fire Stick. Both those have that 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi. My Amazon is just run strictly off Wi-Fi. I have it in my main living room downstairs. I have a 2-story house. My router is upstairs in my living room. My boys have it closer to the Xbox. They're hardwired so they can play their Fortnite. So, but both these are ran off of Wi-Fi actually, and I have no problem with buffering. But I do get 100 megs of internet, so that helps me out. When I get less than that, if I have some internet problems, I might see a little bit of lag. But that's when I plug in my extender here. Plug that into my Mi Box with this little contraption here that we showed. Right? So then I have no problem. So this thing tricks it to thinking it's getting 100 megs into that. So pretty nice feature. So what I would say is make sure your devices, these two have the 5 gigahertz. These cheap boxes off Amazon were about $30 a piece, $30 to $40. They're not worth it. They don't have what the specs you need. If you're going to spend the money for a box, make sure you spend it good money. Get the 5 gigahertz. Get the better processors. It doesn't. You can cut the cord and save some money, but if you got crappy devices, you're going to have problems. That's all there is to it. So pick the right devices. All right. So while we're talking devices, let's also talk this weekly maintenance. It is absolutely critical that you guys do this at least once a week, if not more. And anytime you've seen any kind of hiccups or problems, you go in and do this. So you want to make sure that you are resetting your router. Make sure you're unplugging, letting it power down 30 seconds or a minute on your router, also on your modem. So both of those devices that you have, one from your internet, one's your own, power those down, let them reset, and that should help clear out any kind of packet loss that's sitting there and building up. That will help out there. Now, also what we want to do, and I'm going to show you how to do this here in a minute, we want to clear the cache. We want to force close our app. So this is different on every device, but you got to make sure you do this. So let's go do that right now. Okay, so I'm just on my phone right now in the settings section. So again, any device will have a settings section. Go find that. And then you want to find the section called apps or applications. Go ahead and click on that. Once you get into that, then you need to find the app that you want to clear out. So let's go find that app. And what we're going to do is we're just going to look for one of these. Oh, CL991. There we go. And we're going to clean out my first one here. This is one I have here. This is a service. So let's go ahead and do phone storage. Now we want to clear the cache. What that's going to do is it's going to clear all that stuff that's in there that could be delaying this. If you clear the data, that will delete your username and password. So you don't want to do that, or you have to put all that information in. Okay, so that's done. We cleared our cache. Now I always force stop this. Okay, that's done. Now I do that on this is my phone, which on my boxes, I keep those very clean. Don't worry about that. So I've got a few others here. Let's see here if I can find one. There's dark media. Let's do the same thing with that. We're going to force stop it, and we're going to come down here to the phone storage, clear the cache. So that will then clear my problems I've got, and I do that with any one of these. Now, my phone's got a lot of these because I do reviews on services, but on my boxes, I keep those very clean. I only keep the bare minimum of apps on them, just because if anything gets running in there, it might slow it down. Again, guys, these are very small processors in those things. Most of them are just enough to barely keep it going. So I don't keep anything extra in there. So, all right. So that's the basics of it, guys. Go in there, clean out your cache, force stop your apps, reset your devices. If those are on a Fire Stick or if those are on an Android box or a Mi Box, whatever it is, let the thing unplug, let it sit for a minute, let it restart, and you should see a lot better results if you're seeing buffering with that. So always do that weekly maintenance. All right, so I do want to talk about sources here, and what I mean by that is where are you getting this data from? If you're watching Netflix, you can run Netflix on like a 1.5 mega, bit internet, and I know that because that's what my mom uses. She has horrible internet. I can never go there, and I, try to work. I've always got to, get on my hotspot or whatever. But you can run Netflix because it's not live TV, right? It's a recorded, and it's got a buffer, and it may buffer for 2-3 minutes, and then boom, your video's good, and you never see another problem. But with live TV and IPTV specifically, that data is, nearly real time. So by the time you push that button for that channel, you've got literally about a split second for it to buffer in. So the slower it is, the more buffering you're going to have. So depending on the source, And again, that goes with all IPTV sources around. You've got to find the one with the best source that works for you guys. So there, a lot of services offer trials. Go find the one that works best for you. That may be the cheapest service out there. Unfortunately, that may be not the cheapest service out there. So, but go find the best one that works for you. And it does take some trial and error, guys. You may not find the first one, the second one, the third one, but eventually you'll find the best one that's going to work for you with the least amount of buffering. And if you're doing all these things that we talked about, you should have very little issues with that. So, and of course that can change with time, and depending on what kind of servers these guys have their channels sitting on, and but again, find what the best one that's out there for you guys. Don't be so concerned about, well, I just want a $5 service. That's all I want to spend. No, you've got to find the best service available with the best sources and the best backbone of their products. And a lot of times they'll talk about that, and they don't want to overload their servers and things like that. So keep in mind, guys, it's just not about everybody's equal. Find one that's got some good background or backbone on it. All right, one of the final things I want to talk about here is your expectations with IPTV, guys. If you're expecting perfection, most likely you're going to probably need to stick with your cable or satellite. But if your guys are okay with a hiccup here and there, a problem here and there, obviously you're relying on two things. Your internet is going to do your internet, obviously, and then your TV. So if one of those goes down, both are down. You got to keep that in mind there. So keep your expectations where they're at. This is not perfection. This is a product that's still improving and getting better and better as time goes on. A year ago, compared to now, the channels are available are better, the servers are getting better, the apps are getting better. In time, everything will be better and near perfection. But if you want perfection, don't look at IPTV. But if you're okay with cutting the cord, having a few problems here or there, you'll be fine. There's plenty of times I look at this and I say, man, this has been running so smooth. I forget them even on IPTV. So it does happen. You can find good products. You can find good devices. You can make it work. I have 100% positive, feedback from the services that I pick, that I use, the devices I have. That's why I use them. That's why I got rid of these other ones that were paperweights. They're just no good. They didn't work for me. I had to move on. I had to spend a little money. You learn them. You learn from your mistakes, and I did. I bought some crappy ones, and I've got better ones now, and they're working fine. So, and when they improve, I'll get something new. If something breaks, I'll look for the next best thing. So keep that in mind. Guys, hopefully this has helped you out. Hopefully it's given you a good idea of how to cut the cord. Remember, guys, make sure you've got the best internet. Make sure you've got the best devices possible. Make sure you're doing your weekly maintenance. Make sure you're doing those things to help make it better on your side. Don't always blame the service that you're getting it from, the source, as I talked about. It's their problem. A lot of times it can be fixed on your end directly. So spend some time, do your weekly maintenance, clean everything out, check everything you can, and I think you'll be happy. So appreciate you guys for watching this. Let me know what you think. If I missed something here, tell me all about it. Have a good one.